Don't let one bad leg haunt your parlay. Parlays turn into payouts, and now even near misses won't haunt your bet. The NFL season is here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is rewriting the rules with Ghost Leg, a new game-changing promotion that turns close calls into cold, hard cash. Best of all, it's available to all DraftKings customers. Here's how it works. Build any 3+ leg pregame NFL parlay on Sunday, apply your Ghost Leg token, and if one leg loses, DraftKings makes it vanish like it never existed and pays you out in cash for the rest. Last season, over 30 million parlays were lost by a single leg. This year, Ghost Leg gives those busted bets a second life. No more busted parlays that haunt you all season. With Ghost Leg, the bad leg vanishes. The payout doesn't. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code PFF. That's code PFF to unlock Ghost Leg, the promotion that makes one bad leg disappear and pays you out in real cash. Ghost your losses, get your payout in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
So move on to the next game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers went to face the Atlanta Falcons, I should say, and came out with a victory in the division 23-20. Top 5 graded players that we have for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this game. Cornerback Zion McCollum, fresh off of that contract extension, worth every penny. 77.0 grade. All right, it wasn't a 99 elite grade, but he was the highest graded player that we had for the Buccaneers in that game. Next is cornerback Jacob Parrish, so the rookie, which you love to see that, 76.5. Safety Antoine Winfield Jr., who play the game. I mean, you see the picture of it right there, the pass break up there. I'm going to get to that as my most impressive player, but I mean, that is play of the game type of stuff where, man, when Winfield Jr. was fully healthy 2 years ago, I remember there were 2 specific plays where he was the reason they ended up winning that football game. The game in Carolina is one of them for the tackle at right before the goal line, and I can't remember what the other game was, but he was literally worth two wins for that team 2 years ago. So it was good to see him making those plays and back and healthy again. Well, if you're a Falcons fan, of course, that's not the case, but I digress. Linebacker Levante David, 72.3, and then center Ben Bredesen, who was playing guard, I believe, for this game. He was playing the left guard spot.
I thought Bredesen went. Hang on, let me look. I thought Bredesen.
Did he stay at center? And I thought Michael Jordan moved to center.
Is that how that worked? Because I thought before the game we heard that it was Bredesen. Bredesen played center.
Okay, so he did still play center in this one. And then Michael Jordan played guard.
Left
I'm guessing,
guard,
yeah,
yes.
he would have played left guard because Graham Barton ended up playing left tackle, which I'll get to in a second. But anyways, Bredesen, a 71.6 overall grade. Quarterback Baker Mayfield in this one, a 63.5. Some people might think of the crazy throws that he had and be like, whoa, how's he a 63.5? We'll get to that in a second. Top 5 graded players that we have for the Atlanta Falcons. On the other side, edge rusher Arnold Ebiketie with a 78.4. Linebacker Divine Diablo with a 76.0. Tight end Kyle Pitts, there you go, fantasy football owners, 73.2. Safety Xavier Watts, the rookie there, loved what I saw from Xavier Watts, a 72.8. He had the chance to get 2 interceptions in this game. One of them, I think, just missed his hands. The other one was the Ibuka touchdown that just went over his fingertips that he read perfectly. And then he had a PBU as well later in the game against Ibuka. So Xavier Watts looked awesome. Love to see that from the rookie. Should have never gone in the late 3rd round. He was at least drafted a whole round too late. 72.8. Chris Lindstrom, as he often is in the top 5, is 71.0. And then quarterback Michael Penix Jr., 68.9 in this game. Where are we starting, Dalton? What's your stat that told the story?
So there's 2 factors in this for me. One, it's just Baker Mayfield. Maybe Baker Mayfield is also on that list of guys of like, just don't give him a pulse or he's going to take advantage of it, because that's really how it was. He didn't, you look at all 4 quarters, he didn't play particularly well in this game all the way through. He had 4 turnover-worthy plays, obviously playing behind a makeshift offensive line, really struggled to run the ball. Bucky Irving only had 37 rushing yards. Rashad White, 2 carries for 14. I mean, the Bucks were, it feels to me, Trev, and you know this better than anybody right now, these early season wins without Tristan Wirfs, without Chris Godwin, especially in a division and against probably the next best competitor in this division, it feels even more important for the Bucs to get this win with the injuries they had. They just won a game with, a backup left guard, a left guard playing center, a center playing left tackle, albeit did it in college. A Rashad White is banged up, Chris Godwin's out, Jalen McMillan's out, Mike Evans didn't have a huge day. It feels like everything went wrong. Everything coming into this game was wrong with the Bucs, and Baker Mayfield just found a way to get it done. The 2 touchdown throws to Emeka Egbuka, and let's not forget Egbuka and how important his role in all of this is, replacing Chris Godwin as wide receiver too, right? He had the biggest game out of anybody for the Bucs, but Baker Mayfield, get him to the fourth quarter, 6 of 10, good enough, 68.5 passing grade, big-time throw to Egbuka to the post on the game-winning touchdown. Obviously, the play before that with the big roughing the passer on Ruka Rororo. I mean, it's just Baker Mayfield.
Which was soft, by the way.
It certainly was.
That was soft. It was soft.
I mean,
it was soft.
We get plenty of those now, for sure.
I know, but it was just, it's like, come on, man.
But he's another one, and there's just certain times, and it comes out right in week 1. It feels like now we're going to get 3 or 4 games a year where we just come out of it and go, Baker Mayfield just found some way to have more points than the other team.
Yeah.
And that to me is just what, again, week 18 last year against the Saints. They were looking dead in the water at halftime against one of the worst teams in football, and Baker starts a fist fight and finds a way to pull through in the second half. It felt like the same thing here where the Falcons had every reason to win this game, right? They were the healthier team. They, obviously they're very explosive. Darnell Mooney was out, but you still have London and Pitts and Bijan Robinson having a big day, especially in the receiving game. I mean, everything about this game should have said, okay, the Falcons will win, except Baker Mayfield says, well, no, you're not. That's basically where we're at with the Bucs right now. And again, I think through these first 6 or 7 weeks, as they're clearly not 100% as a team, the more games they win in this stretch, if they get to week 7 and they're just even above 500, it feels like they're going to roll through and win the division because then they found a way to get through the hard part of this.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Young Ku's got a 44-yard field goal at the end of the game to tie it. He should make it. Like, if you're in the NFL, kicking is difficult. I understand that. But, whether or not Raheem Morris should have said it like this publicly to the media or not, he's not wrong. You have to make those kicks. You put yourself in an opportunity to get a less than 45-yard field goal to tie the game and send it to overtime. You got to make it. And Koo knows that as well. But it's one of those things where this game was extremely close. This game was extremely close the entire time. And I think it comes down to, the injuries that the Buccaneers had. And they were able to overcome those well enough. Whereas I think that when you look at how the patchwork offensive line was, they had that 86.8 pass blocking grade as a team. To me, that was solid enough. That's exactly what you needed. If you told me, hey, I can guarantee you the Bucs are going to have a 68.6 pass blocking grade before this game. Do you want to take it, or do you want to risk maybe them playing better or worse? I'd sign the dotted line immediately.
In their situation,
I would
absolutely.
have absolutely taken this. So they did a great job given the circumstances. But on the flip side, I will say, I think this was a matter of, and we talked about this all offseason, the Falcons' young players looked promising. I thought Jalen Walker looked good. I thought James Pierce Jr. looked good. He had an above 20% pass rush win percentage. He had a couple of times where he went up against Graham Barton, and he worked him. Graham Barton was not ready to guard his outside shoulder as well as protect the inside shoulder one-on-one against a player who is as fast as James Pierce Jr. He beat him 3 times. I think he had 4 total pressures. 3 of them, I think, were against Barton, James Pierce Jr.
That sounds right to me,
But they didn't lead to tackles in the backfield, stops, things like that. And maybe later down the line, even this season when they play again, perhaps that's the case. I don't know off the top of my head when they play again. I don't know how far it is. But to me, it just was. And going back to Xavier Watts as well. Watts was almost there. He was almost there on game-breaking plays. Turnovers that he forced when he was at Notre Dame. He was close to reading those and getting his hands on the football. But he didn't quite do that yet. And to me, it was just a matter of, those were the 2 question marks, right? When we previewed this team, it was, how are the Bucs offensive line going to handle the Falcons? And how good are the Falcons' rookie defensive players going to be? And at the end of the day, it did end up being very close, but I think the Bucs handled their deficiencies a little bit better than what the Falcons rookies were able to show in their first regular season game in the NFL. And I think that's why we got to where we got to. But, I mean, you had so many other great – I mentioned the Antoine Winfield Jr. one. He's the most impressive player for me. He didn't have an out-of-this-world PFF grade. I think it was somewhere in the 70s. I think that it was sort of a solid Antoine Winfield Jr. type of game. But he makes the play that saves the entire game on Hodges when he had the opportunity to score a touchdown there. I thought Penix looked good. He looked like somebody who, you should absolutely fear moving forward. But that's what I had as my stat that told the story, and that was my most impressive.
No, I think I'm going to go actually skip over to my most disappointing real quick. It actually is the Falcons' pass rush, and you're hoping for better from this young group, right? And their 4 defensive ends, Ebiketie, Leonard Floyd, and the 2 rookies, they were kind of splitting snaps pretty evenly between them. And, the only thing you look at is they got 1 sack and 1 hit on Mayfield in this game. There was a second unofficial hit that ended up being the roughing the passer. But even the 1 sack was a fellow rookie, Billy Bowman, on a slot blitz. He'd come in untouched on a blitz. So, I mean, this defensive line, we knew it was a work in progress, right? But this was a matchup where with the Bucs not having Tristan Wirfs and having the makeshift offensive line, they really needed Pierce and Walker and Floyd, Ebiketie, the guys up front to pressure Baker Mayfield. And the handful of times that they did, well, Mayfield made him pay because sometimes he's going to do that. But to not get him down, to just get him for the 1 sack on a free blitzer, it's tough. They need to be able to rush 4 and get home to the passer. It was their biggest problem last year. And in this game, I think at least on the defensive line, it was still a big problem, right? And especially against a makeshift unit. It wasn't Tristan Wirfs against those guys. It's Graham Barton now playing out of position. So it's tough. It's tough when you have good quarterbacks in tight games and you can't get pressure on them and have all your coverage assets back there, drop 7 in coverage. You're going to have a problem. And Baker Mayfield had just enough space to operate and make those big throws.
Most disappointing for me was Bucs linebacker Savassi Dennis, who missed most of last year with a shoulder injury. He played only 4 games, and he was supposed to kind of be that next linebacker. Like, they were really excited about him when they drafted him, and then he got hurt last year. And so we talked in the preview show, we talked this offseason about how bad the Buccaneers were at defending over the middle of the field at the linebacker level, and then that bled into defending the deep passes as well. He was healthy. He was out there. He was playing next to Levante David as that full-time linebacker, and he was good in run defense, 86.3 run defense grade. So when things were between the tackles, he was pretty fearless even as a smaller linebacker, and he was able to get his nose in there and make a difference. In coverage, though, specifically against Bijan Robinson, 28.8 coverage grade, and he just looked very outmatched against Bijan Robinson. Now, Robinson's one of the best receiving backs in the NFL. He's quick. He's fast. Like he will force all sorts of missed tackles. If you ever get him in space, it is such a difficult ask to defend a player like that. But Dennis didn't defend it well. And I'm not saying that it's curtains for him. Like, he's not good. He's not the guy at linebacker. But I do think there's a little bit of I think a lot of Bucs fans, specifically, obviously, I've come from covering that team as a beat reporter, so a lot of my following and a lot of my timelines are a lot of Bucs people. They kind of treated Savassi Dennis as like, oh, okay, Dennis is back. All of our linebacker issues are fixed. Like, he is going to be fine. He was a 5th-round pick, right? And I think that you remember, he was a 5th-round pick for a reason. It's even going to take him a little bit. And I think the most important part for him is kind of what he looks like in the second half of this season. But in coverage against Robinson, it was a struggle for him. You would have liked to see a better just baseline for him, even if Robinson's going to get his, because he is.
Yeah.
It was pretty catastrophic for him this week.
To me, if Antoine Winfield plays like this consistently, because before last year, the 3 prior seasons, he was the highest graded safety in football. If Tyke Smith's going to be solid at safety, I feel better about their middle of the field coverage. Linebacker is the biggest question for me. And look, maybe Levante David's just ageless. He's going to do this till he's 60 years old, right? I mean, he's still a top 5 guy in this game, right? But that linebacker spot and the depth specifically and who is next to David at all times is a question for me. And credit to the Falcons putting that in the game plan, because remember, Dennis played, 4 games last year and missed both of the games against Atlanta. So he has no feel when he's out there on the field right now for what Atlanta's going to throw at him. And Atlanta's attacking the middle of the field like crazy last year, and now they're throwing Bijan at you. It's a tough matchup. I think the Falcons, it was a great game plan on their part to attack him in his first game in almost a year, right? So I think it is going to be a big factor that we're looking for moving forward with the Bucs is I think if I was picking out a weak link on their defense, it would be at the linebacker level, even though Levante David is there. But we don't know. There's nothing else proven there.
They were so poor last year. You have to go after
right.
Them, So until they prove this year, until they put tape out there that they can defend it, you go after it a bunch. I mean, it's why Kyle Pitts had a good day as well, because they're still kind of figuring things out there. Most impressive, and then we'll move on.
The guy you mentioned right off the contract extension, Zion McCollum. He was fantastic, the Bucs' highest-graded player. The secondary was really good in this game. He was a big reason for it. 85 run defense grade as well with 2 stops there. 72.8 coverage grade, 4 catches allowed, 30 yards through the air allowed. Almost had an interception, almost capped it off with an interception. He just dropped it. It was right in his chest. That would have made for a perfect day right off an extension. But Zion McCollum, we saw even at the beginning of last year, first half of the year, he was one of the best cornerbacks in football, and then it got a little inconsistent down the stretch. I think along with the rest of the Bucs coverage unit, but if McCollum plays like that and Winfield plays the way he played, this Bucs secondary is going to be in a really – and Jacob Parrish as well. Let's not forget him getting the starting nickel slot as a third-round pick, and he's been fantastic through the preseason and now through week 1.